Seeing Elon Musk do the impossible again with SpaceX is great for us Tesla stock investors.
There's that landing bird. What an incredible sight! Congratulations to the SpaceX team!
SpaceX successfully launches its Starship mega rocket to orbit, returning it to Earth for the first time. This is massive. Just a little while ago, that was thought to be completely impossible to do, just like full self-driving. There's still a lot of work to be done, of course, but it has been done now. It wasn't just the booster that made it back, it was the Starship itself. And it still landed despite the loss of many tiles and a damaged flap. It was a soft landing, not a hard landing. And next time they will try to catch the booster with the Mechazilla arms. SpaceX doing the impossible is incredibly good news for us Tesla stock investors because number one, it proves that Elon Musk is not crazy. Number two, it proves that Elon Musk can do the impossible again, that he has not lost it. And FSD is going to be one of these impossible things that he is about to achieve. Elon earlier made this post about hardware for computers being part of the system in the South Extension at Giga, Texas. 20,000 of these computers. Omar assumed it was for eval, but Elon replied with, no, they are used as part of the training loop. So Tesla is using its own hardware for training. It's not just NVIDIA. The inference step in the training loop is performed on the exact same hardware that runs in the cars. Why is Tesla doing it? Omar thinks is because it's faster and more accurate to what the cars will get. This is of course Elon's timeline, but he said that this weekend customers should be getting FSD v12.4.1 for the first time. And we know that some employees already have v12.4 and the initial feedback is actually good. 12.4 is incredible. My usual commute had 1 to 2 driver interventions and now down to 0. It handles unclear role boundaries better. It turns out that same guy posted earlier that v12.4 is unusable, but that was because his cameras were not calibrated. Before, Elon hyped up pretty much every FSD version by saying it's going to be mind-blowing, but this time is a bit different because he is giving us precise statistics to focus on, like fewer interventions. 5 to 10 times fewer interventions. Very specific. And the media is doing something absolutely unthinkable. They are being positive about Elon Musk and SpaceX today. Today is about bringing everyone together. It's a great day for humanity's future as a spacefaring civilization. Nothing unites us more than working together towards inspiring objectives. So today, Elon Musk accomplished multiple impossible things. Number one, he got the Starship rocket and booster back, and he got media to cover it positively. I'm pretty happy today. In the meantime, we got some good news coming out from Europe. The European Central Bank cut interest rates by 0.25%. Not only does it make it easier for Tesla to sell more vehicles in Europe because financing is going to be cheaper, but it possibly makes it more likely that the US later on will also follow along with interest rate cuts. And Canada also just now cut interest rates, so it's going to be easier to sell Teslas in Canada, but the US after this, certainly, I would think, is more likely to cut interest rates as well, unless it quickly backfires for Canada and Europe. I'm definitely not expecting an interest rate cut in the US at the next meeting, but if you look, for example, at November, look at where expectations were a week ago versus now, and the expectations are that it's more likely that the rates are going to go down more. It's not a huge difference, but there's a bit of a difference. And if we go further out to next year, March, look at these expectations from a week ago. This was close to 0, and now it's 7.9%. For this specific rate, it was 9.4% in terms of probability, and now it's 24%. That's great. So seeing these other regions cut interest rates is definitely great for us. Not only is it easier for people to buy cars, also more risky investments or growth investments like Tesla stock are going to be more likely to have a higher PE ratio, which makes the growth stocks go higher because most of the earnings at the company are in the distant future. And as interest rates come down and you cannot earn as much when you put your money into bonds, the money generated in the distant future all of a sudden becomes more valuable. And Tesla's earnings are mostly in the future. Tesla just made an announcement. Tesla has built their 50 million 4680 battery cell at Giga Texas. This comes 7.5 months after Tesla built its 20 millionth cell at Giga Texas in October of 2023. So production is ramping. Between October and June, Tesla made enough batteries to make about 22,000 Cybertrucks. People are asking, is Tesla still building Model Ys with 4680 cells? I don't think so. If you remember, the 4680 battery Model Y model got discontinued earlier. Drive Tesla Canada also writes that Tesla right now is only using 4680 batteries for the Cybertruck. Rivian is trying to compete with the Cybertruck. It just introduced the second generation R1T and R1S. The new top spec R1T pickup truck has an improved 0 to 60 speed. It is now 2.5 seconds instead of 3 seconds, which beats Cyberbeast 2.6 seconds, but it only does that with a lot of horsepower. The Cyberbeast has 845, and the Rivian with almost 200 more horsepower is only 1/10 of a second faster. Maximum range is now 420 miles. For the first time, they are offering an LFP battery option. New thermal management. There's no pricing for the quad motor yet. Just like AJ, I wonder by how much they can lower their outrageously high production cost that makes the vehicle years after launch still absurdly loss-making. Rivian so far has been incredibly good at losing money. I wish them luck. They will need it. We now have Tesla EV sales in Germany, and there are a few important things to keep in mind. Just as expected, the numbers are not high. And look at this. This is BEV market share in Germany. Can you see some similarities? There's a spike here, and it's now lower than before. In 2023, more BEVs were sold in Germany than in 2024. How come? Can you spot when some incentives ended? It doesn't take a genius to spot two spikes here. So keep in mind, some incentives were removed. So Tesla sales in Germany, that's not really a Tesla problem. That's more a Germany problem. In China right now, Tesla is doing pretty good. And look at BYD in Germany. They are not doing too well either. They're doing fairly poorly compared to before. You can see two spikes when incentives ended, and then bam. Slow. And don't just look at the trajectory of the chart, actually look at the numbers. It's only 201 vehicles. Okay, that's really low. And for the first time, the German Department of Motor Traffic disclosed Xpeng registrations. There were 12 in May. Not that many. Can you see the trend? And this is major, big, huge news. Lucid beat Xpeng by selling 13 vehicles in Germany. That's almost 10% more than Xpeng, so that's quite a lot. This is just not going to age too well. GM CEO says, we said back in 2018 that we're committed to an all-electric future, but as we make this transformation, it's going to happen over decades, and that's why I couldn't be more proud of our gas-powered fleet as well. I think they are not looking at the Chinese market filled with EVs. In China, BEV market share is already around 30%. However, I'm not really complaining. I mean, GM slowing down is actually great for Tesla, but it is incredible what GM has just achieved. General Motors had its best month ever for EV sales in May with over 9,000 sold, which is awesome because Mary's commitment to most EVs sold by any automaker by 2025 is almost a reality now. I mean, all they need to do is just quite a bit more than 10x their EV sales and they will finally be able to beat Tesla. If you are from Austria, you can now vote through this institution. And if you're in Australia and if you use this institution, Superhero, you can vote now too. It's important to vote. Former Tesla board member Steve Wesley actually tells people to vote against Elon's compensation package, which is quite surprising because he has been so positive about Tesla and Elon Musk. It is a major surprise here. I'll come back to this a little bit later. Despite being one of the world's largest auto markets, Japan remains a tiny market for Tesla. Only 500 Teslas were sold in May. There's a huge hidden opportunity in Japan for Tesla once Tesla can crack this market. From notateslaapp.com, BYD's battery manufacturing division division, FinDreams, will now be supplying Tesla with battery cells for its mega factory in Shanghai. It will provide about 20% of the cells needed, so Tesla is moving away slightly from CATL, who was previously Tesla's sole supplier. We Tesla shareholders are fighting back against the Chancery Court of Delaware. Tesla shareholders will make an appearance in the Chancery Court of Delaware. This is to challenge the ridiculously high multi-billion-dollar fee request of the plaintiff's attorney. So this is good. Here's a bit of info about them. I believe this works in our favor. Elon just posted to his main timeline how to vote your Tesla shares. If it was clear by now how the vote is going, I don't think Elon would be promoting this as much as he is right now. By the way, the Optimus bot here, that's not Photoshop, that's a real Optimus bot. They took pictures of this. Oh, I like this chart. For easy comparison, you can see how each country in Europe is doing compared to the previous year, and we have a few countries growing 50% year over year. Netherlands and Belgium are outliers. And despite lower incentives in France, the sales did not drop as much as some people thought they would. Spain is also a fairly big auto market in Europe, and that grew 50% year over year so far. Here's some good news from China. Tesla's FSD entry into China, almost a foregone conclusion. This is from China Newsweek. Some industry insiders told China News Weekly that Tesla has already set up servers and deployed everything it needs to deploy, I guess, to digest the data collected domestically. So it is going to be processed within China from what I'm seeing here. These industry insiders also told reporters that Tesla will use the shadow mode when iterating and improving FSD in China. Here's the original article, and here it is, translated with Google Translate. So news about Tesla's FSD is still coming out from China, which I see as a positive thing because it means that things are moving forward. We got an SEC Form 4, which showed up on Tesla's website. It shows how James Murdoch, a Tesla board member, exercised options worth 250,000 shares. This is something like $45 million. The most important thing to know is that these shares would have been exercisable since June 18th, 2018, and he hasn't sold these shares before, but they would expire on July 17th, 2024, so very soon. So he basically waited for as long as he could. AJ suggests it could mean a few things. Number one, it's possible Murdoch is simply departing Tesla's board, or he knows how the vote is going and exercises for a subsequent dump of his stock, or if he is moving on from Tesla because he's been a part of Tesla since July 2017, which is quite a long time already, 7 years. Maybe he just wants to hedge his risk just in case the vote fails. Elon reposted this to his main timeline. ESG is a corrupted lie. It needs to end. So Tesla's ESG score is lower than Philip Morris, the company that sells cigarettes, which makes complete sense because killing your customers is the most effective way to reduce emissions, and Teslas happen to be the safest vehicle, so definitely makes sense. Why Tesla's score is so low. Kathy Wood points out the hypocrisy as well. Owners of Salvador Foundation Series have reported that they received a letter from Tesla informing them that they would be receiving a $2,500 voucher to purchase PowerShare home backup equipment. Well, this would be good news if true. Quicksilver Model Y facing massive delays. Just spoke with my friend who works for Tesla, who told me that Quicksilver Model Y is facing massive delays due to the overwhelming orders combined with boom from 0.99% financing. And check this out. Expected delivery date for the Tesla Model 3 Performance has increased. It didn't just change from June to July. It changed from June to July or August. In the meantime, Bloomberg published this article. Is Tesla on the road to irrelevance? Replaced that with, is the mainstream media on the road to inevitable irrelevance? We got confirmation that indeed Elon Musk's xAI is planning to build the most advanced supercomputer in the US, specifically in Memphis. And I saw Ron Barron say, who invested in xAI, that Grok will be used by Tesla. So this is relevant to Tesla. How big is it gonna be? It'll be like combining the two largest supercomputers in the world and multiplying by 4. Yeah, Supercomputer City, that's definitely a fitting name. NIO's stock is down 8% after the numbers first came out. Wow, Toyota says that its new combustion engines are a game changer, and the company says to expect them in 2027. So they are not going to focus on EVs in 2027, will they? And what do you think Tesla is going to be doing in 2027? This move is going to surprise some Tesla stock investors. Tesla has reintroduced inventory discounts for all vehicle models in the US after getting rid of them 2 months ago. These are not demo vehicles, by the way, and starting today, Tesla is offering a 36-month loan rate of about 2%, and for longer loans, they are giving you 5%. You have to place your order between June 6th and 16th. The Model 3 Performance does not get this promotional rate. Keep in mind that the great financing deal earlier expired, and I guess Tesla came to the conclusion that offering inventory discounts worked better than just offering a lower interest rate.
I assume you're still, and I might be wrong, a shareholder. But either way, I'm curious as to how you would vote on the compensation package. Yes or no?
Well, I think I'd probably vote no. Look, Elon's done an extraordinary job. He's built one of the transformational companies of the age, but asking for a $55 billion pay increase precisely the time when you've missed quarterly numbers, growth is slowing down, and you've laid off 15% of the workforce is, I'd say, hubris to say the least. I think the real story here is going to be that an awful lot of the world's pension funds, including CalPERS and CalSTRS, right, serve on the board, highly likely to vote no. I think that's what's likely to push a no vote. It's going to be high drama next week. I think everybody's going to be watching me first.
Wait, what did he just say? A pay increase? This is for work that has already been done. Asking for a pay increase would imply that Tesla stock did not increase from 2018 till today. If that was the case, okay, yeah, I would totally agree with that. But that's not the case.
I'm curious, though, as to why you feel that way. I mean, this was approved by 73% of the shareholders in 2018.
Well, let me tell you exactly why. If you look at his performance over those years, it was stunning. 2021, Tesla had 71% growth. 2022, 51% growth. These are software type numbers. That's why Tesla rocketed into the top 10 market cap companies of the world. And I think at that point, he probably deserved it. But if you look at what's happened with growth over the last few years, last year down to 19%, this year could well be in single digits, profitability coming down. The facts on the ground have changed. And I think that's why you're likely to see shareholders coming back with a very different perspective. But as I said, we'll see. It'll be high drama next week.
I'm having such a hard time watching him speak here. This is not about Elon's pay in the last 2 years or so. This is about Elon's pay from 2018. And since 2018, Elon has done tremendously well.
Any concern on your part, or should there be on the part of shareholders, that Musk would depart or devote even less time if, in fact, he doesn't get this compensation that he says, obviously, and the board says he was due?
Well, I think there's concern, if that's the shareholders, on a lot of things. Will they get the $25,000 car in the next year, leading the pack? The next big issue is, will he really have full self-driving? Waymo's now rolled out in 4 cities, moving nationwide. Tesla's FSD, not quite there yet. So there are a lot of issues that need to be resolved. But if you'd asked me a year or two ago, is Elon ever going to leave Tesla? I'd say not in a million years. That prospect is a little cloudier. We'll see.
Do you think the best days of Tesla are behind it, Steve?
I think it's too early to throw in the towel on that. Keep in mind, even though Tesla slowed down a bit, at precisely the time the entire global auto industry is moving electric. They just are, and that's because the cost of batteries continue to go down. Tesla still held 52% market share in the United States. That's more than all other competitors combined. So they're in a strong position. They own the dealership. They've got a cost advantage on batteries, but they've got to kick things into a higher gear. That all starts with fixing full self-driving, getting that $25,000 car into the market.
The world is moving electric, but the world is increasingly and at a quicker pace moving to hybrid. And so that trend is not favoring Tesla right now, Steve. Can Tesla still remain at a premium valuation when the growth right now, at least for the foreseeable future, is in hybrid?
The growth is not in hybrids now or in the foreseeable future. If you look at the fastest growing segment in the EV market, it is still all EVs. Look at BYD. The reason for that is the cost of batteries continues to go down roughly 14% a year. I think if you look forward 5 years from now, hybrids will be in the rearview mirror, and I think the people at BYD, Hyundai, and others agree. The people who are clamoring loudest for hybrids are the firms like Toyota, GM, and Ford. They've been the laggards in the sector. They're going to be going all electric too, but make no mistake, the future is all electric, not hybrid. And Tesla, well positioned for that one, as is BYD.
Steve, as somebody who was a member of this board, I'm curious, you know, the Delaware Chancery Court obviously decided that the board was not independent, essentially, when they chose to bestow this compensation plan on Mr. Musk. Do you believe this is an independent board, that it does have the ability to rein in Elon Musk?
Look, that's for the courts to decide. I know a lot of the board members. I think they're extraordinary people. How independent they are, I'll leave that one to the courts.
Speaking about FSD, we should have the next FSD version very soon. Hopefully we have that before the shareholder vote, assuming that it is as good as Elon says it is. I think that would be really helpful. And speaking of board's independence, I think he just said, basically implying, not directly, but I think he implied that he also thinks that the board is not really independent. I'm going to recuse myself from making comments about this specific issue, but I will say this, that the governance that Tesla has, that's the same governance that made it go from $1.28 to now almost $180 per share, producing a 14,000% return. And since I became a Tesla stock investor in early 2019, the stock is up 800%. So I'm very happy with the corporate governance.
Exclusive interview is Tesla board chair. So one of the things that's very interesting about what's happening now is to ratify, from a technical perspective, it's ratifying the prior plan as opposed to creating a new plan.
That's exactly
And one of the
right.
things that's, I think, misunderstood, and maybe you can help explain this, is it would actually cost a lot more from shareholders if, in fact, this was a new contract prospectively, in that you wrote down the cost of some of this back in 2018, the tune of about $2.7 billion, I think.
2.3.
2.3.
Yes.
But it would cost today, I think, closer to $25 billion.
That's exactly right. So
explain that.
So the actual return for shareholders, $2.3 billion stock-based comp charge that was taken for the 2018 plan is already happened. The share count in the options is already in the diluted share count. That's already happened. If that plan is overturned and we have to put in a new plan, for example, if it was exactly the same type of plan as the other, it would cost $25 billion worth of stock-based comp.
What do you make of the argument that Elon Musk already has a huge stake in this company, that he's already incentivized, that he's already motivated, that he's not going to walk away from this company if he didn't get this package?
I think I'd turn that around. What I would say is put yourself in his shoes. You've worked really hard, incredibly hard over 6 years to lead the company through transformative growth. Nobody thought that these goals were possible in 2018. I remember talking to shareholders, and what they would say to me is, Robin, what are you going to do? What's the board going to do when he doesn't hit the goals and he's demotivated? So for me, after all of that effort, to then have somebody overturn that package or the deal that was struck, how would you feel?
If the pay package is not approved by shareholders, what do you think would happen?
Yeah, well, obviously that's something the board has spent quite a bit of time deliberating. And when we were assessing all the different options after the January judgment came out, this is the best option. Ratifying the plan is the best option. Clearly, if it doesn't pass, then there are other alternatives, but none of them are as good from a shareholder perspective as actually ratifying the plan. People have asked me, well, why didn't you renegotiate? Well, actually, from a legal perspective, ratification is really taking the same plan and putting it back in front of shareholders with all the requisite disclosure that the judge asked for.
There are some lawyers who have suggested, even if it is approved by shareholders again, that a court could strike it down and not accept this new ratification, if you will.
Well, that is possible, but quite frankly, if you sit back, that's actually quite detrimental from a shareholder primacy perspective, which at the end of the day, that's another reason why we're fighting so hard to get this ratified. Shareholder votes have been pretty sacrosanct from a Delaware law perspective, from a corporate America perspective, from a legal system. And over 73% of the unaffiliated shareholders voted for this plan in 2018.
You know my view. I believe a contract's a contract. But there are others who say, and by the way, the court has suggested that this is just too much money. What do you say to that?
Well, it's not about the dollars. It's actually about someone who took a huge risk from a pay perspective. No compensation would have been awarded had he not hit the milestones. And so for me, that risk reward is very important in corporate America. I think it's very important from reaching for the stars, if you like, or Mars in this case. But to me, it's about really setting things up, and Elon embodies that. Right. And so big, ambitious goals are things that drive innovation. And I think the options underneath this pay package are very well earned.
Hey the man, please, if you haven't voted yet, this is one more reminder to please vote, and let all your friends and everyone you know to vote as well. Call them, message them, make sure that they all vote. That's it for today's video. A big thanks goes to all of my Patreon supporters. I'm working on another exclusive video on Patreon. It's going to be out either today or tomorrow. By joining Patreon, you will have access to all of my exclusive videos on Patreon, as well as how much I am willing to pay for each Tesla share between 2024 and 2033. If you join the investor tier, you will also have access to my valuation model, where you will see all of my assumptions, including deliveries, the energy business, Tesla's future businesses like FSD, and of course much more. And then if you want to easily download that and put in your own numbers, then this third tier is for you. To all of my Patreon supporters, thank you so much. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet as well. It's really important to like the videos because that makes it less likely that the channel will be shadow banned later, like my other big channel got shadow banned before from about 50% of my regular viewers. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.